guys, so I'm back with another video, and I wanted to take this opportunity today to kind of discuss something that's been a bit current in my life, and I would say a challenge that I've encountered for many years, but recently something that, I've really taken the time to try to find a solution for. So just want to give you guys kind of like the background of what my process has been for choosing topics for YouTube videos. So for me, what I like to do is to find possibly a problem or a challenge that I've encountered and maybe recently found the solutions for, found a way to get over it, and have that topic be, part of my video. Because for me, when I'm going through any of the challenges in life and any problems that I might come across, I actually go towards videos like these, and those really help me a lot. So I want to be able to, pay it forward and create something that, might be able to help someone else. So I'll get right to it. Basically what I wanted to discuss in this video today is anxiety, possibly I would say in more of a general light. Obviously anyone who suffers from anxiety knows that it can be stemming from so many different things, and in that regard it has different names. But I wanted to kind of touch base on just general anxiety and some of the physical symptoms that you might experience, and then ways to kind of overcome it, combat it, or even just try to take those baby steps to getting a little bit past that anxiety and live a healthier life. So first things first, I wanted to kind of go into my background on how I've dealt with anxiety, my struggle with it, and the type of anxiety that I've had. So for me specifically, years ago it started from social anxiety. That has been a little bit more when I was younger. Now that I'm older, my anxiety definitely stems from, I would say, best way to put it would be, I don't want to consider it like PTSD, but in a way, like my anxiety stems from traumatic experiences I've had, and the fear that these experiences define me, the fear that, and the worry that it's going to happen again in my life. So that's kind of the anxiety that I'm battling with at this point in time. I, have briefly touched on my past experiences in a couple of different videos, and I'm sure everyone knows between my career and my relationships, my life has been, definitely a roller coaster, and I've experienced a lot in the past couple of years. I've overcome it, but I definitely still have noticed those lingering... Trevor's here. Hi, say hi, Trevor. Say hi, Trevor. Can we say hi to everyone? Trevor has been my perfect little buddy with getting past anxiety. What are you doing? Oh. Purring. So basically, with everything that had gone over the past couple of years, my anxiety started to really stem from my decision-making process, my intuition, really who I was as a person and how I saw myself. So I definitely felt my anxiety and the type of anxiety I had change throughout the course of the past couple of years. Want to lay down? So recently what I've definitely noticed is, for me, I've been having a lot of almost like flashbacks of, the pain that I endured, kind of the negative feelings that I experienced at that time. And it's almost like my self-talk has been very negative, and I've been almost putting myself down of saying, why should anything good happen to you, Val? Why should this happen for you? You know what I mean? Like, I love you, Trevor, but this is not what we can do in the video right now, okay? So for me, a lot of the anxiety has just been almost anticipating the worst, right? And I think it's because, I healed from most of it, but it's definitely coming up because I didn't heal all of it. And I would say that's a big part to anxiety, is healing whatever storylines that we are telling ourselves, about healing whatever emotions that we have correlated to certain situations, places, people, things. And for me, I've noticed recently that a lot of my physical symptoms are now arising with my anxiety. So as everyone knows, if you have anxiety, you have heart palpitations, you have shortness of breath, you have lightheadedness. So a lot of those things for me, especially falling asleep at night, I've definitely noticed these, emotions, these physical symptoms have kind of spiked for me recently. So whenever that happens, I definitely recommend taking note of when those symptoms are coming up, what is happening in that situation that is causing those things to kind of spike a bit. What I had to do was just say, okay, so I have heart palpitations right now, I have shortness of breath. What's happening that's making me feel like this? And then I started noticing, oh, it's when I'm in a conversation and it's my turn to talk. And all of a sudden I'll get that, anxiety of, it's almost for me, the lack of confidence in what I'm saying. So I started taking note of, okay, so when I'm in conversations and it's my turn to talk and I start to experience these symptoms, well, it's stemming because I feel I'm not confident in what I'm saying. I'm not confident in myself. So from there, I have to then take that and say, okay, well, why am I lacking confidence in myself? Why am I questioning and doubting myself? And then you have to keep breaking it down. And what you need to do is you keep breaking it down until you get to the point of saying, this is, I guess if you want to say, a label for what's causing the symptoms and how do I combat it? So for example, I definitely just want to use myself. And I also want to put this out there, guys. I'm not a professional. I can only speak from experience, and hopefully that helps some people. But, if this doesn't help you or it doesn't work for you, that's okay. I think what I've learned is I've seen so many people have different ways to get through anxiety and anxiety attacks that works for them and not work for me. And then things that work for me that might not work for others. And that's completely okay too. So, what I started noticing was when I had that lack of confidence and started self-doubting myself, what I was saying, it started coming from a place of, I started remembering all of the times that I would speak up for myself and I would get knocked down, right? I would get told by people, you're wrong, or I would get lashed out at if I spoke up for myself. So it was almost like over the years, I just hindered myself from finding my voice. And for me, what I had to do sit there and say was, okay, not every time that you're going to speak up for yourself, not every time that you're going to speak your mind or your truth are people always going to agree. And you have to come to a place of understanding, Val, that you can speak your truth. People might get it, they might not, but that's okay either way. So I had to kind of have that really friendly self-talk with myself. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is being a friend to yourself. And any kind of advice you'd give to your friend in that situation, give it to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, you should have been more confident, or you should have said this or that. That's never going to kind of help. It's only going to hinder. So that is kind of one example of what I would say is when you're in the moment of experiencing the anxiety, of really pinpointing what the root cause is and then finding ways to work through it. So it takes time. I know in the moment you feel like you're just having an outer body experience and you're just, dealing with all of the symptoms, but my best piece of advice would be just breathe, bring yourself back to what's causing it and find the solution. So that has been helpful for me. Another tip that I actually recently heard that's really, really interesting, and I've never actually heard of this tip before until a couple days ago, it's taking cold showers. So what happens is, when you go into the cold water, your body is almost having this panic, going into panic, right? Because it's so cold and, your body just automatically going to go into this panic. And what you do is, as your body's starting to panic from the cold water, you're doing breath work. So for me, the breath work that I use that kind of works is where you think of the square and you inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold your breath for 4 seconds again. And you keep doing that until, your heart rate starts to come down, until you feel like your symptoms are not as extreme as they were. So you don't have to do this cold water shower thing for, a long period of time. You can start out with 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. You know what I mean? You don't want to push yourself too much. But especially if, for example, for myself, I wake up with anxiety a lot of the time. So, start your day with that cold shower. Get yourself back into that present moment, into that right headspace, so you're not starting, your day off on a bad foot. So yeah, that's a really cool tip. That's a little bit something, to get yourself out of it. I know everyone has seen or heard of the videos where, they're telling you to think of things to be grateful for. One thing that's worked for me though is when I'm in a moment of anxiety, I sit there and I remind myself, okay, Val, you've been here before. Now, what have you done to get yourself out of it? And is the story that you're telling yourself, the things that you're experiencing, are you looking at it from a valid point of view, or are you looking at it from a fearful point of view? So I think that's another piece of advice that I want to give was when you're in that mindset of making sure and really taking initiative to kind of be your voice of reason, because when we're going through anxiety attacks, to be honest, there is no voice of reason within our own minds, because we're just going to sit there, we're going to freak out, and we're going to keep repeating whatever toxic thoughts are going through our heads. And it takes a lot of inner strength and perseverance to be that voice of reason, and you need to kind of play devil's advocate for yourself, right? That's one thing that I've really pushed myself to do. I think a couple years ago I would have been in an anxiety attack and completely crumbled and would have had to rely on someone else to get me out of it. And it took me a long time, it took me many, many years to sit there and say, I need to be my own best friend, my own advocate. And when I'm having these panic attacks, anxiety attacks, I need to remind myself, play devil's advocate, and what you're experiencing. Are these reactions or thoughts, are they relevant? Are they going to be helpful? And one thing I've always just the one thing I've always told myself as I was going through it was, you're freaking out because you think there's no end in sight, but there's a solution. What's the solution? My thing has always been, what is the solution? And even if your solution is getting up from the situation and going for a walk or being alone, that's a solution. You know what I mean? I don't think we need to kind of create this grandiose idea that we need these detailed solutions to our anxiety. Sometimes it's just as simple as getting up, breathing, and coming back. So as you guys know, I'm a huge advocate for writing, and I've always said this in the past, journaling, writing, taking the time to get your thoughts onto paper is a huge way to kind of get past everything. That still works, but I've noticed too when it comes to anxiety, it's really great to incorporate, mental strategies as well as physical strategies. So for me, it's been kind of like being able to get myself up and get my body moving kind of snaps me out of it. Doing breath work snaps me out of it. But I also need that piece of writing. For me, it's really crucial to write because I can do the physical strategies to get those physical symptoms kind of subsided, but you also have the mental piece. So for me, I really do need to take the time to write down what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling, and how I'm going to overcome it, because it's great, to have the physical symptoms aside, but to make sure that, the mental part to it doesn't repeat itself, or you try to find ways to overcome it. You definitely have to have those mental strategies as well. Writing it down, or just even, taking a moment, sometimes even if it means filming a video like this for yourself, talking to yourself. Those things are all great strategies that help. So I definitely recommend, when it comes to anxiety attacks, make sure that you're doing the physical strategies as well as the mental strategies to really help yourself, and then cultivate, a routine for yourself so that you're able to continually keep getting mentally stronger. And I think a lot of it also comes down to emotional intelligence, of just understanding that, it's never going to be a point really that everything's going to be perfect, and it's coming to the understanding of embracing, the imperfect parts of life. So that's really just the most of, my current experience with anxiety and some of the things that have been helping me recently as, I've been kind of, I don't want to say battling, but in a way, what's helped me take a couple steps forward and getting to a better place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these little tips and tricks that we talked about, and I'll put them down below in the description box. So, if you guys want a little bit more detail or just kind of write things down, it'll all be down there for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Or even if you have any strategies that you have used that have worked, definitely put them down below. I'm definitely an advocate for sharing strategies because, again, like I said, what works for you might not work for me, what works for me might not work for you, but you never know. Maybe something that someone puts down below works for another individual. Yeah, so I just want to say thank you guys for watching my videos, for the really amazing feedback that I get. I just want to let everyone know that when I see the comments of people saying that, this video helped them or sharing their experience, that for me is very special, and that's why I make the videos, because I want to be able to create change or help someone else in life. So I just want to say thank you, and it really does makes my day, and it's just a huge blessing in my life. So thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.